Hi, welcome back to Mr. Stewart's Lessons, and we're continuing with the reboot of Mr. Stewart's Lessons, making reusable classes that can be placed in any game and any project and used without really needing to modify what's inside. Today we're making a RemoveObjectOnCollision class. So this is something that is going to allow the actor, to grab things and move around and pick them up. And it's also going to return a notice of what actually gets grabbed, so the actor will know this. Next week, or pretty soon, we're also going to make a scoreboard class so we can put those values from the RemoveObjectOnCollision onto the scoreboard. So what I'm going to do here, the RemoveObjectOnCollision class is actually going to need to be an actor. It's going to be a separate actor from the actor that's going to be moving around. So I'm going to make a new actor subclass, and I'm going to call it RemoveObjectOnCollision, but it's not going to have an image. The RemoveObjectOnCollision is going to be an invisible object that's going to be floating on top of the actor and is going to be grabbing things for the actor, and then telling that, obviously the player won't know that. It'll look just like the actor is grabbing things, but really this invisible object is going to be doing it. So what we're going to do, I'm going to open it up, and so what we're going to do, this is our RemoveObjectOnCollision, and we're going to first it's going to need to know what actor it's going to be working with, and so this is I'm going to call the actor grabber, because this is basically the actor that's going to be picking things up, or it's going to appear that this actor is picking things up. Actually, the RemoveObjectOnCollision class is the one that's going to be doing it. And then I'm going to do, we need to know what it's going to want to pick up, and what it's going to pick up is going to be a class, right? So if if you're picking up if you're picking up gold pieces or something like that, or stars, that's going to be goldpiece.class or star.class. That's what you're going to be picking up. So I'm going to call this class target class. So this is the class of the thing I'm going to be picking up. We're actually not going to have an act method, even though it's an actor. It's by itself, it's not going to do anything. It's only going to do what the grabber tells it to do, which is mostly grab things. So it does need a constructor. So the constructor is going to set it up, make it happen, and the constructor is going to give it the arguments it's going to need, which is, so I'm going to say public RemoveObjectOnCollision. A constructor always has to have the same name as the class. Now in this parentheses are the arguments we're going to get. So I'm going to say actor A, which is going to be past the actor when it gets created, and class T. So A is going to become the grabber, and T is going to become the target class. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll say grabber equals A, and target class equals C. So we're being passed the name of the actor and the name of the class we're going to pick up, and we're going to assign that to the grabber and the target class. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our image. It's actually going to be an invisible image. It's just going to be, imagine an invisible block that covers the actor. So I'm going to say set image new. So I'm going to create a new Greenfoot image, and what we're going to do, if you look if you look at the code of a Greenfoot image, what you have is There's various kinds of Greenfoot images I can make. I can get an image that already exists. I can put in like a string, text, things like that. Or I can open a file, right? But the one I'm going to do here is this one. If you go to the Greenfoot image, one of the ones is we want to put in the width and the height. And what we want to do is we want the width and the height to be the same as the grabber, because that's where it's going to go on top of the grabber invisibly, not be seeing and grab things for the grabber. So I'm going to say grabber, and I need to get the grabber's image. So I'm going to use the get image method, and then I'm going to use the get width method. So this is going. So the width, this first argument here for the new Greenfoot image is the width of the RemoveObjectOnCollision actor, which is the same as the width of the image of the grabber actor. And I'm going to do the same thing for the height. So, oh, need one more parentheses there. Okay, so this is the image. It's an invisible image. We're never going to actually see the RemoveObjectOnCollision thing. It's going to be invisible. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to need the actual method of removing the object on collision. So the actor is going to call this method. So I'm going to say public int RemoveObjectOnCollision. And I'm going to do open and close parentheses here. There's no argument. It doesn't need an argument because it already knows what it's going to remove. It's going to remove whatever the target class is, stars or coins or whatever it is that we're trying to pick up in the game. So we need to now. If you've been noticing, you might notice that we haven't been actually added to the world yet. We're not part of the world yet, and if we try and do anything in the world, then we're going to get a null pointer error because it's going to say you're not in the world. You have to be in the world to make something happen. So I need to first put myself in the world if I'm not in the world. So I'm going to say if. Now the way you can tell if you're in the world, if you say get world. So get world gets the world you're in. But if you're not in a world, it's going to give you the answer null. It's going to say you're not in the world. So we're going to say if get world equals null, then we're going to add ourself to the world. And even if we don't know what the world is, the grabber that's added us does have to be in the world for this at this point, because it's called the RemoveObjectOnCollision method. It's got to be in the world by now. So we're going to say grabber get world. So we're going to get whatever the grabber's world is, and we're going to add ourselves to it. And we're going to add we're adding ourselves. So if you want to add yourself, when you use the add object, you can just say this. We need to say where we are. We want to be in the same place that the grabber is. So we're going to add ourselves. We're going to, so that for the x coordinate of where we are, we're going to use the getX method of the grabber. And for the y coordinate of where we are, we're going to use the y coordinate of the grabber. And so now we're in the world. Now we'll definitely be in the world for sure, right? And we obviously only want to add ourselves to the world once. That's why we said if. So next time this runs, get world won't be null, and so this won't happen. Now we have to put ourselves on top of the grabber. So I'm going to do if we're not, because the grabber could have moved, right? I mean, so the grabber is going to be moving every turn. So every turn when it calls our RemoveObjectOnCollision method, we need to make sure we're on top of it. To put yourself in a certain place, I'm going to say set location, grabber. So I'm going to get the x coordinate of the grabber and get the y coordinate of the grabber. And then I need to make sure I'm pointing the same way that the grabber is. So now so that uses the set rotation method, and we want to set our rotation to the grabber's rotation. So I'm going to call the get rotation method for the grabber. Now I'm going to I want to know how many objects I remove this time around. It's usually either going to be 0 or 1, but I might grab like 3 objects on the same turn as possible. So we want to have an integer variable, a number variable that tells us how many objects we've removed. So now we have the objects removed. So we haven't removed any yet. Now we're going to actually try and pick something up. So to pick something up in Greenfoot, the way we usually do it, we do actor target equals. So we're creating an actor variable that represents the thing we picked up if we pick something up. And I'm going to say get one intersecting object. And then we want to do the object we're picking up is the target class. So what this means, this line is something that gets used a lot. This is basically telling the actor, which in this case is this invisible object that's on top of the whoever is doing the grabbing. It's telling it to try and grab. It's this whole line here is telling it to try and grab whatever class of object we're trying to get, to try and grab one. Okay, and then I'm going to say if target not equal null. So if so this means if target not equal null, well, if we try and grab one and we don't get anything, then the get one intersecting object is going to return null, no object at all. So this won't happen. But if we do grab one, then whatever happens inside these parentheses is going to happen. And what we want to do, first thing, objects removed plus plus. So we're going to add 1 to this objects removed variable. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually remove the thing. And so to remove the thing, we're going to say get world. We're in the world now, so we can get it. We're going to get the world, and we're going to tell it. So this, when we get the world, it creates this world object that can do things now. And because it can do things, if I hit Control Space, I can see the various things it can do. And one of them is remove object. And the objects it's going to remove is going to be the target, the one that we got. And then we're going to return the objects removed. You might have wondered when we put up here and we created this method, this public int remove objects on collision, what's the int do? The int is saying that this method is going to return an integer variable. And so it's going to return the number of objects. I guess it can only really get 1 or 0. So it's going to either return 1 object or 0 objects that it's going to get. That's going to be useful because it allows us to keep track of what we've gotten, of how many things we've gotten. And so and that's it. That's our whole method. And but let me show you what it looks like now when we run it. And oops, sorry, that should say, that's a typo. That says target class equals C. That should say target class equals T. That's a typo, my mistake. that should say target class equals T, not target class equals C, up in the remove object in the constructor there. Okay, just a typo there. So now we want to, let's see it happen, right? So I'm going to create a new subclass. I'm going to create, let's make a, what animal are we going to do? Let's do a camel. I've never done that. No, that's going to go upside down. That's annoying. I don't want to do that. I don't want something that's going to go upside down. I'm going to do a fly. Okay, and the fly, we're going to want the fly to grab something. So let's find some food for the fly to eat. What would a fly like to eat, do you suppose? Let's make the fly eat pizza, definitely. Okay, now, so we have, so the fly, we need the fly to be able to move. And so I'm going to use one of the classes that I made last week. You're going to be able, you can download this class from my website. So I have the RemoveObjectOnCollision class here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the move with arrows, the move actor with arrows method. And so what I'm going to do, that's in my Java directory in my useful classes. But you can download it yourself if you just go to Mr. Stewart's lessons, and you will find the same thing. You can download this. And so in my useful classes, one of my things here is movewitharrows.java. And so I want to see this, right, this movewitharrows.java allows me to move my actor with arrows. So let me so what I can do is I can just put this in this project is called RemoveObjectOnCollision. So I'm just going to copy this into my RemoveObjectOnCollision method. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to copy it into my RemoveObjectOnCollision project. Okay, and so there you can see now it's movewitharrows.java is in there. Now you don't see it in here yet. That's because I'm going to have to close it and open it. So I just copied it into the folder that has RemoveObjectOnCollision in there. I'm going to close it and I'm going to open it again. Oops, and I'm going to open my RemoveObjectOnCollision. And you'll see now move with arrows is in there. And so that means now fly can use the move with arrows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, so when we have a class, right, I've got a move with arrows class, and the move with arrows class, you'll notice here's what it does, and you'll notice it wants to know what actor it wants to move. I can see if I look in there, there's the constructor. It tells me what the actor is. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do move with arrows MWA. That's a variable name. It can be anything. Equals new move with arrows this. And this just means this actor. And now, because I have the move with arrows, in there, I can do MWA dot, and then I spelled it wrong. It's move with arrows. That's why I got a mistake there. So I do MWA, and then I do control space, and I get all of the methods of the move with arrows. And you'll see move actor with arrows. That's my method. And I'll let's say that's the speed. You notice the speed, that's just how fast I want to be moving when I use my arrows. So if I compile that, oh, I need a world. So I'll make a new, I'll just call it my world. Doesn't really matter what it's called. I'll put the fly in there. Now my fly is moving around with arrows. So now I want to put in some pizza for it to grab. And now I want to make it so the fly can remove an object on collision. So we're going to, I'm going to do remove object on collision, and I'm just going to do it ROOC for remove object on collision equals new remove object on collision. And it's going to, now the remove object on collision, if you remember correctly, it had 2 arguments. The first argument is going to be the actor that it's going to be that's going to be doing the grabbing. So that's going to be this. This is going to become the grabber in the remove object on collision. If I just show you here what the remove object on collision looks like. Right, here's my constructor. I need the actor. That's A, that becomes the grabber, and then I needed the class of what it's going to grab. So in this case, the actor is this, and what it's going to grab is a pizza. And so it's going to be pizza.class, right? That pizza comes from right here. That's what that class is going to be called. And now, all I want to do is I want to remove any pizza I have every turn. So I'm going to do ROC, which is the remove object on collision actor, and then I do control space, and one of the things is the remove object on collision method, and it doesn't have an argument. You see there's no parentheses here, so I mean there's nothing in the parentheses, there's no argument. So now I'll close it and I'll compile this again. Oops, I forgot to save the world, so let's put in the fly and let's put in some pizza. I'll save the world now so we can, okay, and now I'll run it, and you'll see the fly gets the pizza. Now, you notice we returned something, so I'm going to do something a little bit, I'm going to add something in here, because I might want to keep track of how many pizzas I've grabbed. So I'm going to do up here, I'm going to do, in the fly, I'm going to do int pizzas grabbed equals 0. And so what I'm going to do, here, we want to add every time I remove an object on, every time I remove a pizza, I want to add it to the number of pizzas grabbed. So I'm going to say pizzas grabbed plus equals. And all that means is every time I remove a pizza, I'm going to add it to the pizzas grabbed variable. And let's watch what happens here if I compile this whole thing. Okay, now if I inspect this with the fly, you'll notice pizzas grabbed 0. I haven't grabbed any pizzas yet. Now I'm going to run around and I'm going to start grabbing some pizzas. And watch what happens now. Oops. So I'm going to look at the fly now. I'm going to inspect the fly now, and wait, where is it? Oh, remove object on collision is in the way. So I'm going to look at the fly now, and you'll notice the pizzas grabbed is 4. And that's how this works. And now you might be thinking, boy, what would be really nice would be a little scoreboard up here that showed me how many pizzas I've actually grabbed. And that is the next lesson, where we create a scoreboard which can be updated by the actor. I will see you then.